Everybody, this is Herschel from High School Top 200, and this preseason ranking is of Wesley College. Wesley College traditionally is probably one of the best teams in the country, probably along with you know Kelson boys and Rotorua boys who have all won multiple championships, as well as Hamilton boys, and I think Christchurch is the other one that's held national championships. So they're right up there, and they've had their struggles within the last couple of years, maybe the last 5-6 years or so, where they struggled. Where they struggled a bit. I think their last year was of their last national championship team, where a couple of my mates were in it. So Brian and Hummer and that were all part of that, and Tau and guys like that. And so it's real interesting to see how they bounce back and how they've sort of started forming a pretty good roster again, and forming a lot of guys within the mold that they want to have them in. And I think they've done great. I think last year was a pretty good learning curve for them, and they had two boys that came out and became Barbarians, and represented Wesley. This year, I think they have another good squad, and they have another good group of players that can really do the program proud. And I think that this is going to be one of those times where they step up and they start making those steps towards going back to what they were before. And so I think their front row is going to be pretty good. They got Victor and Tane Beach in there, and so Tane is probably one of the hookers that I've looked at, who I think is in a pretty good position to be one of the best this year and next year. I think because next year he can return back next year. So he's in a pretty good position himself. He's playing really well and really mobile and really direct in his role that he plays. And Victor along with him as well. They make a really good front row, because they got Sosai in there as well. Leuter Tema is another lock. Tupou is going to be the main guy. Like that's not a secret. Tupou Va'ai is probably going to be. I think he's the best. Maybe one of the best. Maybe no. Actually, he's top 2 locks in the country. And so it's not going to be a surprise that he's going to be there. Brent Tucker is another lock that's going to be there. That's really handy as well, and that really balances that out. Most players, or most best players in teams, they seem to be moved around a lot, and they usually take care of the needs of the team. And so there's talks of Tupou maybe going to 8, which is going to be scary as a 6'7" number 8. It's going to be like looking at, because Naito is another one that's also being played. He's rumored to play number 6 or 8 as well. So you're going to have these 6'7", 6'8" guys, running as number 8, just like how Nelson and Solomona was. So, you've got to give it up to their ability to be rangy players because of their athleticism, as well as their mobility and agility to get around the field. And so you got to give it up to Tupou. They still have guys like Louis Arter, who's going to be there next to Brent as well. And so you got to be pretty confident to have players like that can fill in those positions. Malupo Maafi is probably going to be their vocal leader. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually becomes the captain. He's a really good leader. Even though overall Tupou, I think, is a better player, I just think that Malupo is probably a better leader. And if you can being the best player doesn't mean that you're the best leader on the team. I think that he'll just be a better leader, and he just makes the right decisions. He's really good like that, where he becomes that go-to guy. And I think that would be their role as well, as probably go to him as a captain. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. If Tupou gets it, he gets it. Whatever. That's cool too. AJ Leamalu is probably going to be their open side. It's going to be really good if they can get him in there and get him flying around the field and things like that as well. Ronan Lawrence, I really liked him, not last year but the year before as a year 11. I think he went and played league last year, but now he's back. And so he'll move back in there as the halfback. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he adapts back to the game, and like his in different roles and things like that. But I thought he was really sharp at halfback when he was there in 2005. So we'll see what happens. Jonwa Tomotiani is probably going to be the first five. So John was probably going to be there first five. Him and Ronan are going to have to try and figure stuff out, both being pretty new to their positions and new to the combination, and so they're going to have to figure something out. Tuhi Pompey is going to be there. Simeone Offa is probably going to be the centre. So Tuhi is going to be at second five, which really works out well if they're going to play the system that they are used to playing at Wesley and the way that they're used to doing things. Because I think those two both fit that role. Motu Orfisa is probably going to be on the wing. Robert Luatua is probably going to be on the other wing. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they move midfield one of them, because they're all pretty versatile that way. Kalapu Palilei is probably going to be there as well at fullback, and so that's going to give them an interesting back three to work with. And then we'll see what happens, because they're all really good runners, and so we're going to see how loose that they start playing. But I think that they're going to be a very strong team, and then in the Chiefs competition, we're going to see how good that they can actually match up with everyone else. This is my review for the preseason review for these guys. So Wesley College, peace.